Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth object downed within a couple of weeks, about a week and a half or so. The fourth object over the skies, over United States airspace, has been shot down. You can look at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette right here, CNN, New York Times. U.S. takes down a fourth flying object over Lake Huron in Michigan. And let's just read the CNBC article right here. U.S. downs a fourth high-altitude object as lawmakers demand more information. It is obvious, ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel. Have a safe and beautiful and awesome Super Bowl Sunday. Just be safe and, be careful on the roads, especially after the Super Bowl. But enjoy the game. This is the fourth flying object. There have been unidentified flying objects, one in over Alaska the other day that I talked about. This is happening almost every day now. This is the fourth high altitude object within within a week, and you had a high altitude balloon fly over the United States of America, starting from the Aleutian Islands, over Alaska, over Montana, and Biden allowed it to take reconnaissance and photos and intelligence. And of course, this was deemed as not a big deal. The reason Trump was a better president in terms of foreign policy is that he would have immediately leveled or immediately talked about economic repercussions, tariffs. Trump was a very good president in terms of economic policy and foreign policy. We had record low poverty under Trump in 2019, according to CNN. We had record highs in household median income. And that wasn't because of $10 trillion pumped into the economy. That's because the economy worked under Trump. The tax cuts worked for the working class. So if you want to speak the language of the left, the working class did much better under Trump. That's without a doubt. There's no debate. We had record low poverty. We did not have an invasion in Europe like we did under Democrats and Biden. We did not have spy balloons flying over the country. That is a lie. That is the opinion of one or two people who are anonymous sources within the Pentagon or DOD, simply to make everything morally relative. It did not happen under Trump. There's no evidence of that, just like there's no evidence he worked with another country to defeat Clinton. But people didn't like Trump's personality. Now we have an invasion in Europe. Now we have real wages down. Real wages were up under Trump. And now we're going into another recession, which is very likely why Biden doesn't want to impose any increased tariffs. I mean, you could end all of this with an increase in tariffs. But here, United States military down to fourth unidentified object. The White House on Friday announced the second object had been downed over Alaska. Officials have yet to release details of the object downed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and including the spy balloon. This is taking place because our adversaries, our geopolitical rivals, all the countries that Democrats obsess over when it comes to Trump, because they've redefined national security as only the Democratic Party's chances when it comes to defeating their rivals. That's not the DNC emails are not national security. Trump working with another country, accused within a dossier, and I will do a lot more on the Durham probe. The Durham probe was a very successful investigation. It didn't lead to the indictments that I explained in the segment prior to this one. Jim Jordan, James Comer have weaponization panel in Congress. Okay, it's obvious the United States government leveled everything against Trump because they didn't like him, because he doesn't worship sacred cows. Now we have the adults in the room. Now we have the adults in charge. And we have, like I said, an invasion in Europe. And we have a a fourth high altitude object shot down over our skies, over our airspace, deriving reconnaissance, intelligence, maybe tracking individuals. Okay, there's a reason that China or any other country would want a high altitude balloon or another object or another aircraft other than a satellite. You can derive even more information from a high altitude balloon than you can from a satellite. A lot more information. Okay, you can see things in perhaps three-dimensional photos and geothermal imaging, and you could look at things from a 360-degree vantage point that you can't from a satellite. Okay, that's one obvious benefit. My God, this isn't rocket science. If you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. Ladies and gentlemen, to my new Patreons, thank you. The super thanks is below next to the like and the share buttons. Go to h8goodman.com to read my writing on the Hill, the Huffington Post Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, and other publications. And ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe right now. And you can become part of a newsletter there. But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to explain. It's pretty easy to understand. It's pretty easy to comprehend. Okay, when you look at what's taking place, they want three-dimensional, 360-degree photos, intelligence, geothermal imaging, or photographs or pictures. They can be tracking individuals with these high altitude balloons or these high altitude objects. There's a much better, you can derive better intelligence from these balloons or these objects than you can from a satellite. How difficult is this for people who try to make everything morally relative? Well, it happened three times under Trump. We never shot down anything under Trump. There was never a spy balloon that traversed the entire country under Trump, and there's no evidence that it happened under Trump. So yet again, you're lying, or you're making claims that you can't prove. You can't simply say intelligence says. Okay, anonymous intelligence officials that always happen to side with Democrats are simply operatives that make things up because it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing to continually have these things flying over the country. And Biden and Democrats are crippled with fear or, incompetence. They're completely inept. They're the inability to make a decision. They're crippled with indecision. Okay? They don't know what to do. I mean, everyone knows that they're deriving intelligence on this country, okay? And we don't know exactly. It could be China again. It could be other countries, but everyone knows what's taking place. The issue here is the indecision, the inept reaction to all of this. They don't know what to do. This is the fourth time. Okay, this is the fourth time in a week. And there's no economic decision, there's no repercussions, there's no statement, hey, if you do this again, we're going to. And I don't, believe me, I don't think we should, there's no need for a military response. But there's also no need to just, it makes no sense not to say anything. They're doing this because they're deriving intel, they're deriving reconnaissance, they're doing it because of a military or political reason that benefits their national security and hurts our national security. Again, this is national security. The invasion in Europe is national security, preventing that. None of these things took place under Trump because he understood foreign policy a lot better than these lifelong politicians on the Democratic Party side or the never-Trumpers. It didn't happen under Trump. And then the insane rebuttal is, well, could you imagine if it did? Yeah. You'd have to imagine if it did because it didn't. and it wouldn't have. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now because Trump would have leveled tariffs immediately, or at least talked about that. And they would have known there would have been economic repercussions and possibly military repercussions. Give me your thought. Although with Trump, his number one option was not military repercussions. He worked because he understood foreign policy is based on a country's economy, not necessarily the military. Give me your thoughts below. And we have the greatest military in the world, and they're still doing this. Give me your thoughts below. That's because Biden's in office. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back later for the live stream.